So early Thursday morning, it was the first thing that I saw that Prince Andrew was arrested. Now, he was not arrested because of the sexual allegations, the trafficking allegations of the Epstein network. He was allegedly arrested because he showed misconduct in giving information to Jeffrey Epstein. What that information is yet to be seen. But the reality is the royal family here, they have to be embarrassed. Andrew has to be embarrassing for the royal family. I don't want people to get distracted and think it's just about misconduct. I think they're trying to get Andrew on something else instead of labeling him as what he really is, which is a sex trafficker and someone who was a predator. I'll take you back to when Virginia Giuffre, rest in peace, Virginia. Prince Andrew was the first one that I saw that was mentioned when all this Epstein stuff was revealed. And that was because of Virginia Giuffre. Just a reminder.
Giuffre says she was instructed to have sexual encounters with the prince 3 times when she was 17. The night in London, she says, was the first. It's the same story she told Savannah.
Prince Andrew.
There's Savannah Guthrie, ladies and gentlemen. Remember I told you she's the one who had the interview with Virginia Giuffre and some of the other survivors as well. Her mom is still missing. Let's continue.
Of course, denies that this ever happened.
He denies that it ever happened, and he's going to keep denying that it ever happened. But he knows the truth, and I know the truth.
I have no recollection of ever meeting her.
In his widely criticized interview with the BBC, the Queen's second son denied ever having sex with Giuffre and said he couldn't explain the photo.
That's me, but whether that's my hand or whether that's the position, I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken.
The people in the...
That's him, but he doesn't think that's his hand. So you look at this photo very closely. Let me know, is there a ghost in this picture? Is someone else's hand just magically propped up behind Virginia Giuffre here?
Inside are going to keep coming up with these ridiculous excuses, like the photo was doctored, or he came to New York to break up with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, come on. I'm calling BS on this because that's what it is.
Prince Andrew.
So just a reminder there, right? So again, Prince Andrew was the first one that I saw mentioned as a predator with the Epstein files. Early Thursday morning, he was arrested.
And breaking news, some stunning news out of London. Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested, presumably in connection with his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to go straight to our foreign correspondent, James Longman.
Hi, George. Yes, extraordinary news out of the UK this morning. The former Prince Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, has this morning been arrested on the Sandringham estate where he was living after having been removed, of course, from the home he was living in Windsor. The Thames Valley Police, the police here in the UK, put out a statement. They haven't named him specifically, but they are saying a man in his 60s has been arrested. As part of the investigation, they say we have today arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office and are carrying out searches at addresses in Berkshire and Norfolk. They say the man remains in police custody at this time. They are not, like I say, naming Andrew, but we know that it is him. This pertains to emails, we believe, that were published recently in the most recent Epstein files published by the Department of Justice, which seem to suggest, they allege that Andrew was forwarding emails to Jeffrey Epstein whilst he was trade envoy here in the UK. Now, as a public official, that is misconduct. That is what the police are alleging. That's the charges that they presumably are bringing to him if they do indeed charge him. He is under arrest and remains in custody for that. We will wait and see what further details they are yet to give us. But, you know, as trade envoy, he spent more than 10 years traveling around the world on behalf of the British government to kind of foment relationships with other countries to better Britain's kind of economic outlook, if you like. That was seen as a member of the royal family could do this. His status would provide Britain with that kind of heft on the world stage. But the emails from the Department of Justice suggest that when he was in these conversations in places like Singapore, Hong Kong, I've got a list here in front of me, other countries that he went to, he would then have these kind of confidential documents in these emails, and then it looks like he was forwarding them on to Jeffrey Epstein, another one here from Vietnam, another from China. So if you look at the date on some of these emails as well, that is what is interesting. One of them here in front of me from 2010. Of course, that's well after Jeffrey Epstein had already faced charges for soliciting sex from a minor. So that is.
Of course. And this is the thing. I think the people that look the most damning in the eye of the public are those that continue to have a relationship with him after he already, was charged or was convicted. And I think this is the big thing, because I got to say this. I don't know if you ever saw the show The Crown. It's actually a really good show, but it's about the royal family. I think it's 5 seasons. And one of the things that is mentioned in the show The Crown is this issue with Prince Andrew going after underage girls. It's in the show. Now, when you watch these kind of shows, you do have to stop and check and see, okay, what was exaggerated, what actually happened, because they add in things for entertainment. But I don't know about that one. I mean, it's in the show where the Queen pushes back on Andrew for going after these underage girls. Now, I don't know if that means the Queen actually did that. I don't know. But I didn't hear the royal family push back on that after that show was released. So this is why I had the question in the poll. Do you think they knew all along? Do you think they've been protecting him all this time? Because I think they have been. I think they've known about Andrew for a long time. And it was one of them things they just kind of, let's just brush it under the rug and let's just let it be what it is. Because let's be clear, if he wasn't a prince and he was just some average dude in London, he would have been in jail. The police tried to come arrest him last time when Virginia first came forward. And because of who he is, that's why he's been able to get away with it.
This goes to the heart of this entire issue around Andrew and Epstein. The relationship that he had with that convicted sex offender went far beyond the time which he said that he had broken all contact with him. People at home might remember the disastrous interview he gave in 2019 to the BBC, where he said that he had traveled to the United States, to New York, to sever his ties with Jeffrey Epstein, that he was there to basically explain to him that he no longer wanted to be in communication with him. These emails from the Department of Justice suggest that that was not true, that he basically lied about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein in that interview. He has always denied, we should say, any wrongdoing when it comes to the allegations about sex trafficking. Virginia Giuffre, of course, the individual who alleged that she was sex trafficked by Epstein for sex with Andrew, he has denied that strenuously. We haven't had comment from him or the palace on these latest allegations about emails to Jeffrey Epstein in his position as trade envoy. But one imagines that at some point today, Buckingham Palace will have to release some kind of statement.
And what makes it even crazy is this was the infamous picture. Ghislaine Maxwell was right there in the picture in the background. But according to Prince Andrew, he don't remember this picture at all. It's interesting. He's acting like that was the first time he saw this picture on the internet. This picture been around for years on the internet. Yeah, he lied about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Like I said, if you didn't do anything wrong, why are you lying? And he's lying right now. He's still lying about Virginia Giuffre. He was released very quickly. Yes, they sometimes come back, but it's a weird situation because it's like they released him. He's not charged, but he's not technically free. Listen to this.
Now let's bring in our Patrick Reevell just outside Buckingham Palace. So Patrick, we're being told that Andrew has been released, but is under investigation and not charged. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, Kira, as you say, just in the past half hour or so, Andrew has been seen leaving the police station
He was captured on camera by reporters there. As you say, the police saying that he's being released and remains under investigation. At the moment, it does not yet appear that charges have been brought against him. We had heard from prosecutors saying they had not yet advised the police on whether a case could be brought against him. Usually in the UK, police do the investigating and then prosecutors assess the evidence and decide whether enough can be brought, whether the evidence is sufficient to bring a trial. But obviously, we still know very little about what these allegations are. We understand that it is related to these emails in the Epstein files where it appears that Andrew was basically passing sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein about his travels as a trade envoy. And as a trade envoy, he would have been, in theory, bound by some rules of confidentiality under British government policy and law. But as you say, for now, we don't yet know too much more about that. But clearly an absolutely extraordinary day here in the UK, one that is unprecedented for the royal family. No royal has been arrested in modern history. And so a very difficult day for the royal family and for the monarchy.
Yeah, but come on, man. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, they know. What do you mean very difficult day? It wasn't a very difficult day when Virginia Giuffre came forward. It wasn't a very difficult day then. They knew how Andrew was. They been knew about this. And it seems like to me what they're trying to do, they're trying to get him on something, a lesser charge that's still connected to Epstein from the files to make it seem like they're doing some type of justice. But that way he still won't be called a sex abuser. That's what it seems like to me. They're still in so many ways trying to protect him. But my question is, where are the arrests of people here in the United States? So he's still under investigation, should have been under investigation a long time ago. King Charles did issue a statement from His Majesty the King. I have learned with deepest concern the news about Andrew and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full, wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I continue in our duty and service to you all. Now, we have to remember, didn't King Charles announce about a year ago that he found out that he has cancer? So keep that in mind too. They already stripped Andrew of a couple of titles from what I understand. But what do you mean, Charles? Like, what do you mean that when you say, I learned with deepest concern the news about Andrew? What do you mean you just learned? What are you talking about? What do you mean you just learned? People been knew. You knew. That's why they stripped him of his titles, because of the first time this information was released about him. So it's hilarious to me. There was all this focus on Harry and Meghan when you really should have been focusing on Andrew. The Queen protected Andrew. That's my opinion there. I mean, it's kind of hard to shrug off this. This is probably one of the more infamous pictures that dropped from the recent Epstein files. Notice they didn't blur his face. And the reason why they didn't, like I said, they had already made a decision who were going to be the fall guys. So that's why they didn't blur his face. People still won't say David Copperfield. Everyone's still walking around saying the magician. We all know it's David Copperfield. Why are they protecting him? Let's go to the next part here, Eric. So, I mean, this stuff been out there. right? But Donald Trump was asked about this. Now all of a sudden, everybody pretending they don't know each other, you know? Like Donald Trump was asked about it when Prince Andrew was arrested. Listen to what he says.
President Trump was asked about Andrew this morning in London.
I don't know Prince Andrew, but it's a tough story. It's a very tough story. I don't know him, no.
President Trump has been photographed with Prince Andrew as far back as the year 2000. He is seen here alongside the Prince and First Lady at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Epstein was also at that part.
So, guys, this is Fox News. Fox News can't even defend Donald Trump on this one. Now, all of a sudden, nobody know anybody. You guys notice this? Now, all of a sudden, nobody knows Epstein. I don't know Epstein. I didn't know the guy. I know him. Nobody knows Prince Andrew now. All of a sudden, I don't know Prince Andrew. I don't know him at all. It gets bad when Fox News can't run cover for you now. But here's the thing. It's not just him. Les Wexner, who really kicked off a lot of this stuff by giving Jeffrey Epstein power of attorney, Les Wexner had a deposition recently. Now, there were Congress members that went to Ohio to interrogate him. Now, why they had to go to him, I don't know. Maybe it's a legal thing around this. But they went to interrogate him because he is the one who really kicked a lot of this off financially.
There's never been any allegation that Wexner has participated in the sex abuse of children, but he always needed to be questioned under oath because he was the primary source of Epstein's wealth and his social legitimacy. So I think he's going to be asked what specific services did Epstein provide that justified his extraordinary trust in him, such as giving Epstein power of attorney and enormous compensation. I mean, one thing we still don't know about Epstein is how did he accumulate such wealth? What were his sources of income? And how much did Wexner pay him over the years? So there are a lot of open questions. Plus, Wexner said repeatedly that he believed he could trust Epstein based on positive reports from several friends. Well, who are these friends? Does he know names of co-conspirators? So there are a lot of questions he'll be asked today.
So this is the other thing about Les Wexner, right? There is actually a documentary called Victoria's Secret Angels and Demons, something like that. And I watched this. Les Wexner is in the docuseries, talking about how he met Jeffrey Epstein and all these things. Like, there's multiple documentaries out there about this. And it's like Lex Wexner is all of a sudden pretending as though I was conned, I was fooled by Jeffrey Epstein. He gave this guy money. They even called it out here. This is when they were having the recess for that deposition. Listen.
We want to talk to anyone that has information about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crime, abuse, and trafficking of women and girls. There is no single person that was more involved in providing Jeffrey Epstein with the financial support to commit his crimes than Les Wexner. That is already, as we all know, in the public record. We've also directly heard from survivors about Mr. Wexner, about his involvement, and their concerns as to the enormous amount of money that was essentially transferred over and paid to by Mr. Epstein. To be very clear, we know of approximately over $1 billion, it looks like. It's about $1 billion that was either transferred, provided in stocks, or given directly to Mr. Epstein by Wexner.
But Les Wexner was up there. They released some of the video. I haven't seen all of it, but Les Wexner was there, and he basically like, oh, I don't really remember how I met him. Now all of a sudden, nobody know anybody. I don't know how I met this person. I meet this person. I don't know them at all. You guys know that, number one, for this deposition, did you guys know that none of the Republican Congress members went to this? Ohio's a red state. None of them. Not one went. Weird, isn't it? Les Wexner gave him power of attorney. Do you know how powerful that is? And I'm going to keep it straight and 100 with you. You just don't go give somebody power of attorney that you just think may be a smart person. You know, you just met this guy. You giving him power of attorney if y'all got something going on. You know what I'm saying? Something. And that's why people allude to the fact that there was probably some type of romantic relationship going on between those two. But now he apparently don't remember and don't know nothing, can't remember anything. He gave him money in the beginning. And there are still some things we may never get the answers to, because here's the thing. In multiple of these documentaries about Epstein, there were Victoria's Secret models and other models that came to Les Wexner early on and complained about Jeffrey Epstein. There was one model in particular that came forward, and she said she went to Les Wexner and she said that Jeffrey Epstein assaulted her. Les Wexner didn't do anything about it. So while he sat there and testified with these Congress members, I didn't know anything about that. I was tricked. He conned me. I was misled. I was duped. He knew. They all knew. And we may never know the whole full story here. We may never know it. But it wasn't just Epstein. When you look at Les Wexner, let's not forget about this guy, the Abercrombie and Fitch guy. See how I'm trying to show you a connection. Former Abercrombie CEO is charged with running sex trafficking ring. I covered this about a year ago when this story was announced. Guess who hired this guy? Les Wexner. Ta-da! Now, with the Abercrombie situation, it wasn't women apparently that were being trafficked. It was the male models that were being trafficked and sexually abused. And he just happened to be hired by Les Wexner. So this isn't just a trafficking network. This is a criminal enterprise. There may also be some ties in there. I got to look a little bit deeper. There may also be some mob ties in there. Like, people be quick to let you know. People think that the mob, the mafia, that's like a done thing because they came after the 5 families. No, I mean, people still operate, just in different ways. Because you don't get away with that much stuff with nothing. Now, nobody know anybody. Nobody know Prince Andrew. Nobody know Jeffrey Epstein. It's absolutely insane. These people should be shamed everywhere that they go. Let's see that poll. Poll to the world. Are you for sure? Who do you love? All right. Thank you for the poll, ladies and gents. Prince Andrew has been arrested. Do you believe the royals protected Andrew? 83% said yes, of course they did. 7% said no, I don't think so. 9% said I'm not sure. And 2%, shout out to 2% keeping it real. 2% said, who is Prince Andrew? I understand. Shout out to you keeping it real. We have 3,214 votes. Thank you guys so much. Hey, way to keep it real. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.